Hello and welcome to Sports Tonight. I'm Cecilia Omogbe in Lagos. On the show tonight, we'll be talking about NWFL, that is Nigerian Women's Football League Premiership, because it resumes after 4 weeks break. And of course, week 9 will get our attention. We'll also be talking about the Golden Eaglets. Not the Golden Eaglets. Yes, we're talking about the Olympic Eagles. They will be in action tomorrow against Guinea. And of course, the Super Eagles, Victor Osimhen is in camp. We have 22 players in camp right now. Just say to Sanusi is the only player that is yet to arrive. We'll be talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria because, of course, African qualifiers get on the way this weekend, of course, across Africa. The media officer will be joining us on the program to talk about what's happening to Tottenham Hotspur. Of course, Conte is on the verge of being sacked. Zlatan has gone to Italy for the international break. We'll find out all of these on the show. But Austin O'Connor is in London. Austin, how you doing?
Sport greetings to you, Cecilia, and of course everyone joining us from different parts of the world. Action-packed world of sports. I see that you're pumped up for the show tonight, and I am also. The Super Eagles will be busy. The Olympic Eagles will be busy. We've got the NWFL returning, and so much also going on right here in the United Kingdom, particularly the biggest of them all, the English Premier League. Cecilia, what a season we're having. Could it just be that season where the Gunners will prove critics wrong? Fingers crossed.
We'll see what's going to happen. And of course, we'll not be doing all the talking alone. We've got another guest in the studio, but then we'll introduce him much later. Let's just start with NWFL first. We'll take a look at the games for this Wednesday, midweek. Of course, you know, every Wednesday, that's when Nigerian Women's Football League usually have their games. So just take a look at the games for Wednesday, starting with that of, Heartland. And of course, Delta Queens will be in action starting from Group A. You also have Niger Rattles and Royal Queens will also be in action. Yes, there you have the result for this weekend match day 10 fixtures that's getting our attention for this midweek. Delta Queens and Heartlands will be in action. Niger Rattles and Royal Queens also in action. Oshun Babes and Rivers Angels will be in action. Flip over to Group B. The games we have, Nassau Amazons and FC Robo will be in action. You also have Abia Angels and Ibom Angels in action. Confluence Queens and Edo Queens will be in action. Edo Queens, at the time they were unbeaten, but right now, well, they've been beaten twice, so it's the only Delta Queens. That's the only team that are unbeaten this season. More of it, of course, I'll be introducing my guest right now, and he's right here in the studio. Kinde Idris, it's good to have you join us.
It's good to be here. It was like I went on election break. You know, since the whole election thing started. Over. Yes, I've not been here, but it's good. Yeah. It feels good to be back, and it feels like, you know, I'm part of a new Nigeria moving forward. And I'm seeing pretty Cecilia and also looking sharp Austin right there. So it feels good to be back.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. All right, let's get into the drive. We'll quickly talk about the Nigerian Women's Football League. Yes, you had the fixtures, the game for this weekend is for this midweek. Yes, it's midweek. I need to always say that it's midweek every Wednesday. That's when the Nigerian Women's Football League Premiership play their games across the country. Yes, we'll dissect what's happening in Group A on Wednesday. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, you have Delta Queens happens to be the only team that yet to lose a game this season. And of course, for Delta Queens, obviously, they want to maintain that. They've had 2 draws in that. They've won 5 games, and of course, they've won five matches. They've out of 7. And of course, just 2 draws, and the goal difference is 12, which is really great. 17 points from that. That's what they have in Heartland. Might just try to stop them when the season resumes.
Exactly. I think for Delta Queens, they started this season having one thing in mind. We want to go the way Bayelsa Queen did last season. I think maybe spill from last season to this season, Rivers Angels has not been that, you know, sublime angel that they've always been. So everybody who can just steal the show are doing everything possible. And Delta Queens have always been one of those teams who play probably second, third fiddle to some of these big teams like Nasarawa Amazons, Rivers Angels, Robo Queens. And this time they saw that window and they are taking advantage of it. So let's see if that continues. But like I always love, I always love teams, players, in any setting of sport. I always want one team, one player, or some teams, some players to show consistency all the way. whether it's my team or not, I'll go ahead and back that team. And I'm loving what Delta Queens are doing. Just continue to give us angles to talking about consistency, proper delivery, and that is what they are doing. For Edo Queens, they were at a point, you mentioned that, but now they faltered. All other teams are not looking like that steady. So Delta Queens get my nod like every other time, whenever the NWFL comes up.
Someone is not looking at Bayelsa Queens. But we'll talk about Bayelsa Queens much later because Babafemi Raji, the media officer of the Super Eagles, he is joining us right now from Abuja, of course. So tell us the update from camp. Femi, it's good to have you. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Cecilia. Thanks for having me. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm fine. And you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
So what's the mood in camp like? Just the news, of course, the story coming from you this evening is Victor Osimhen, the big boy, is right here in the camp. And, of course, you have 22 players right now in the Super Eagles camp in Abuja.
Yes, 22 players in camp, confirmed. Victor should have been here earlier, but it was due to a local flight. He flew us to Abuja. Would have perhaps made the evening training, but with us tomorrow. We'll be training tomorrow morning. Tomorrow there'll be a game at the Moshood Abiola Stadium. That's why we have to train in the morning. However, the morning camp is great. It's awesome. The players are doing very fine, all in positive mood. We're expecting the arrival of Zaidou Sanusi in camp. Otherwise, everything is going on well here.
Okay, that's good. I mean, from what's it like for all the players that are coming back to camp? Because after the break, of course, after the World Cup, players coming back, trying to get into the groove again for the qualifiers. Are they excited to be back? Are they happy? What's it like, really? Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, I think we'll get back to you much later if you're here, once we get you clearly. Austin, I believe you want to butt in here. We're talking about of course, the NWFL before we had Babafemi Raji. When he come back, of course, we'll go back to him concerning the players in camp. He just told us Victor Osimhen is the last player to arrive this evening. Zaidou Sanusi is still being expected to make it 23.
Yeah, we'll get back to that conversation, as you said, but let's quick one on the Nigeria Women's Football League. Exciting times. I'd like to see Rivers Angels. They have made the season a bit tough for themselves. I'd like to see how they'll bounce back, and they've got a tricky away tie against Oshun Babes. I'd also like to see what Edo Queens can do against a decent Confluence Queens side. Confluence Queens, I think that third or fourth on the log of Group B. A team that whenever they gel, they can actually stun anyone. And then, of course, Bayelsa Queens, you mentioned no one is talking about them. I am talking about them. That's a very decent team. And I still feel that they will do everything they can to top that Group A table. Babafemi Raji is back in the mix. Babafemi Raji, good to have you join us on the show. Tell me what's going on in the camp of the Super Eagles as regards what the players think about this AFCON qualifying game against Guinea-Bissau. Do they see it as one that they really, really need to win and improve on?
Sure, Austin, definitely. It's a game we need to win. We go into every game, win every match we play. And remember, we still have a 100% record in this qualification series, where we scored 12 goals in our first two games. Against Sierra Leone, we won 2-1, and against Tottenham and Principe, we won 10-0. We want to sustain this 100% record, and we want to do that by beating Guinea-Bissau, putting them in the pressure cooker on Friday, and then beating them, then wrap it all up when we go to their backyard. And we know we have 12 points in the bag, and we start, utilizing the final two games as preparing games for AFCON proper.
I like that. Put them in the pressure cooker. Let's see what you guys can do for Nigerians when that one is played. Clear the air, Babafemi Raji. That's why we've got you. All of these talks about Finidi George, Ike Shoromo, the technical crew of the Super Eagles, and whether or not you like it, these are the sort of conversations that affect results or outcome on the day of matches. What's the situation? Raj, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Claire.
Okay. Did you get my question?
You wanted me to clear the air on the assistant coaches?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but definitely, I'm sure you there was a communique released by press statement made by the communication department of the Nigeria Football Federation, stated in clear terms what really happened. Definitely, this kind of issues have to do with employer-employee relationship. We are also co-employees, yeah. So definitely, and I believe they stated in clear terms what really happened and how it happened. The status of things when it comes to Finidi, the rotation policy, and when it comes to the goalkeeping department, the same thing as well. I believe the Director of Communications, Dr. Ademola Lajire, was clear indeed in the statement released in this regard. And I don't think that should be something we should overflog. We have an immediate task. The immediate task is to Guinea-Bissau, and of course, still keeping focus our mission. Remember the mission of this team. The moment Joseph Esero, the coach, was indeed appointed coach, said, and he told us, he keeps, in fact, we had a meeting the first time we got into camp this time around. The mission, reminding of the mission. The mission is to win the AFCON. So we don't want any form of distraction at all. And thank God we're having the full backing of the leadership of Alhaji Ibrahim Mosoguso to ensure everything is in good stead for us. So that is administrative. We're focusing more on the game at hand, and it's against Guinea-Bissau.
I like that. Yeah. I like that. And that's why I said let's clear the air, because we want the team to have all the attention and focus that they need to put Guinea-Bissau.
So that we breathe in oxygen.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Let's get on with it before we hand it over to Cecilia. Now let's talk about the forward line. It's juicy about Femi Raji. When you take a look at the players invited, all of them are on fire. How much of a sweet headache is that for Coach Jose Pizarro?
I don't envy him. I don't know if any pharmaceutical company can come up with a concussion that can cure this kind of headache. I believe sports medicine should be looking at curing selection headache in this regard, because it's going to be very tough. But I don't envy the coach, but because it's a tough task when you have your strikers firing on all cylinders. But it's for the greater good of the team. It means we should expect goals. And that is the level we want every member of the team to be, and they are proving to be at that level. So when you see the forward line, that forward line scares any team in the world. I repeat, any team in the world. And I think that indeed is the kind of thing we want. And we want that to translate to winning games, and in extension, winning laurels. We should win a trophy, and we want to do that come next year. So the forward line, the middle, the back line, the backroom staff, and even you, my colleagues in the media, and the fans out there, the 12th man, we must collectively achieve this.
That's right. I'll hand it right back to Cecilia in Lagos.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, you mentioned the fact that we have so many forwards. That was going to be my question, because you had 8 strikers, 8 defenders, 4 midfielders. Fine, we have firepowers. Our players are scoring across the board. Don't you think the team is really not balanced? Because when you have 4 midfielders and then you have 8 strikers, and when you want to make changes sometimes, I don't know how many midfielders he will want to play against Guinea. Don't you think we have a problem in that particular department?
Well, I don't think so. He's the coach. Last time I checked, Cecilia, both of us are in the same profession. I don't know if you have a UEFA Pro license.
I just want to get your opinion on that.
I don't have a UEFA Pro license yet, or UEFA B or A license, but that's why he's the coach. It's the field. You don't know what he wants to do with that selection. And I believe when you see a chef gather ingredients, you don't know how spicy the food will be in the end until you taste the food. So the chief chef has gathered the ingredients, let's just relax and enjoy the aroma and the taste of the food.
All right, we'll look forward to this particular dish because we can't wait for it to be well prepared and served to everyone because Nigerians obviously want to see the Super Eagles winning again. So that's why we're sending all the positive energy from here down to the Super Eagles camp. Baba Femi Raji, thank you so much.
Yes, and trust me, don't worry, you'll be served, but not served breakfast. You'll be served better meal, not breakfast.
Buffet, right? Thank you so much for joining us this evening. All right, that's Baba Femi Raji, the media officer of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Now, he mentioned that the coach will obviously have a whole lot of headache. And the question I asked him concerning the team, because each time we see, it's not just Joseph Pesero. Yeah. Over the past, should I use outside things, Coach Stephen Keshin left, it's hard for us to see like a real balanced team. Yeah. You have 8 defenders, 8 forwards. Then you look at the midfield, very lean. And when Austin talk about it's going to have a good headache, I'm like, not really so positive, not really a good headache, because what do you do with your midfield when it's so thin? And then when you have injuries or something, maybe that won't happen. But what if you have that? What happens to your midfield? You start drafting in players to play, out of position, like, exactly. We've seen with the Super Falcons.
I think one particular list dropped by Geno Raw, one time where we found Alex Iwobi in the attackers, list. That tells you so many of the strikers can play as false midfielders, like the wingers. So you have midfielders tending to probably the defensive midfield role, central midfield role, or attacking midfield role. Then you have the attackers supporting from the wing, and then it looks like a 4 midfield setting where you have just 2 of, let me use this 4, just 2 of this 4 being proper midfielders right there, attackers forming the other 2, which makes it 4. Then the other forwards will take the space. So I think that is what the plan is. Like Baba Femi Raji said, well said, everything, correcting some nuances and then also, setting some records straight. When he said, if the coach does not know what he wants to do with this team, it wouldn't come up with this list. And that is where probably a lot of persons will leave it. But I'm saying so many of these strikers can play as false midfielders, like we call the wingers. And then we have other strikers, being arranged in front. So maybe the 4 will just be 2 out of them proper midfielders. They have other attackers chopping in there. Let's see. I think maybe this serves for interesting time. And let's see the technical input of Jose Pesaro. This is one thing we'll be asking. For somebody like you, like Austin, would always ask your input and want to see that in this list.
Talking about input, Austin, before we leave this Super Eagles of Nigeria, when you ask him, the kind of headache he was going to be having because of the strikers we have, fearsome one. And when you ask that question, I'm like, okay, that's a fine one, because at the end of the day, when you have players scoring, you can't play 1 or 2 strikers at a time, right? Or do you want 4? That's the thing. So who will you put forward in this? So it's really, a very big headache, knowing that the midfield is very thin.
You're making me the coach of the Super Eagles tonight.
Yeah, we're just trying to banter everything and to make sense of it all.
I have to, because I've been looking at that forward line, and it's Smokey, Victor Osimhen, Paul Onuachu, Ademola Lookman, Terry Murphy. It's tough, but definitely, I'll go with what the fans will be expecting to see. They will want to see Victor Osimhen leading the pack, and maybe I will start with the Italian, connection. Victor Osimhen and Ademola Lookman. And let's see what they can do. If they give me goals, because, more fans demand, you'd like to still see Victor Osimhen play. I might take out Ademola Lookman and say, Terry Murphy, you've been on lately. Come show us what you can do. And that's because I've been saying we need to give Terry Murphy more time. Paul Onuachu has shown some sparks of brilliance here and there, but he requires a particular style of play to really, impress with this Super Eagles team. But hey, definitely for me, it's Victor Osimhen and Ademola Lookman. But look, any of those guys on the forward lineup can go out there and get the job done against Guinea-Bissau. That's confidence, Cecilia.
All right, let's see just the confirmation of what we have, you know, the players in camp. Yeah. We have 22 right now. If we can see confirmation of that. If you want to start with Samuel Chukwueze, the ones who just arrived today, of course, Kelechi Iheanacho also arriving today. The ones that have been in camp since, you have Kelvin Akpoguma, who is a defender. Yeah, there you have it, of course, starting with the defenders. We'll start off with the defenders. We have Kevin Akpoguna, he's in camp. Daniel Bameye is also in camp. Kenneth Omero, Kelvin Bassi, Bruno Oyemachi, Bright Osai, Samuel Oluwashemilogo, Ajayi. And of course, the goalkeepers, that's where you have Francis Uzo, Victor Suchima, and Kingsley Anegbo. So these are the goalkeepers we have. Let's flip over to where you have the strikers. And of course, you also have the midfielders in the striking position. You have Victor Osimhen, he just arrived this evening. Samuel Chukwueze arriving today. Kelechi Iheanacho also in camp. Paul Onuachu, Ademola Lookman, Ahmed Musa, Moses Simon. I mean, just look at these names and you're like, it's too much. Wilfred Ndidi, Alex Iwobi, Frank Onyeka, and Joe Aribo. Sometimes we've seen Ademola Lookman actually playing in the midfield role. But I mean, as Austin mentioned, he wants to use the Italian connection to have Victor Osimhen and Ademola Lookman up front. Then maybe you have Kelechi Iheanacho playing, Kelechi Iheanacho and Samuel Chukwueze playing from the wings.
Also, you can Ahmed Musa, Moses Simon, they can play the midfield role. That is what I'm saying. Like,
no, Ahmed Musa is better as a winger.
Sometimes you can use those wingers as false midfielders.
Or maybe you can bring Ademola Lookman to join them over there. Then you have Victor Osimhen and Fatim Terim. Okay, he's not here, so you bring him and Victor Osimhen.
I think one of the beauties also I've seen with the attackers we have already. Look at all of these names and you understand, as a coach, you already have about 3 shaped styles that you can play. If this style isn't working, probably in the first 20 minutes, a player can come in the attacking role that changes the entire phase if you are set as a coach. So I think they all come with their own unique style to help the coach easily get into different formations.
Good headache. All right, we'll go on a break. When we come back, we'll be talking about, of course, the Olympic Eagles will get our attention, and also talk about what's happening at not White Hart Lane anymore, London Stadium, Tottenham Hotspur. So stay with us. Welcome back. Let's talk about the Olympic Eagles. Of course, they will be in action on Wednesday against Guinea. I mean, that game, of course, is for them to get a ticket to the African qualifiers to get into the Olympics. Know how big this is, talking about the Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations in Morocco later in the year. For the Olympic Eagles, we know how successful they are. They happen to be the most successful national team simply because they have won the gold, the silver, and the bronze. But this team will try to qualify for the Under-23 Africa Cup of Nations, and then if they are able to get into the finals, well, they get a ticket to represent Africa at the Olympics in Paris in 2024. But on Wednesday, they will be up against Guinea, and that game is 4 p.m. in Abuja. So these guys, how far can they go? I mean, the coach, Salisu Yusuf, has already said that, yes, they are fired up, they've worked hard, and they believe that they can really grab this ticket.
I think the Olympic Eagles are one of those teams in Nigeria that sometimes, in recent time, gets me really, sad. At a point, if you take out the Super Eagles, the Green Eagles, whichever you want to call it, the Olympic Eagles are another joy for the entire nation. We always look forward. That is why the Dream Team name went on. Dream Team 1, Dream Team 2, Dream Team. Now, the Dream Team name has been rested because at a point, you see them in each Olympic build-up. It's a blessed team. You hear names, you know them. Today, go on the streets, do a Vox Populi, and you ask people, they don't even have interest in the Olympic Eagles. And I don't know why we do this. You take us to a height, and then you just drop us off when we've already built our emotions around this team. And I think probably, I was asking before we came on air, I was talking to myself though, but I know you heard. For some coaches, I don't know, I don't have issues with you, but we should be doing more with coaches in our country. I think it goes a long way to tell you the kind of results you'll get. I don't have issues with Salisu Yusuf, but I think there are coaches that can give us even better results. But I think this is the best time. They said the best time to do the right thing is now. This is the best time to gather, to do so well and get Nigerians interested in the under-23 team again. Or you can call them the Olympics Eagles, thereabout. Play Guinea, do so well, get into the AFCON, do so well, and then go to the Olympics and reenact that joy that used to give to us, and then we start to follow like we used to.
Austin, over to you. I mean, reenact the joy. That's what he wants to see. And Coach Salisu Yusuf has said that he has invited some foreign-based players. Can we judge them by the game they will play tomorrow in Abuja?
Yes, we should. Yes, we can, you know. And I'm hearing that Orban might just get into the team. If he gets in tonight and then is assessed by the medical team and he says he can play, and then boom, he's into the team. Now, that's where I have a worry. Because if there's a plan, if it's a proper team, you just don't take someone and put it into the team, you know. But because this is the Olympic Eagles, and all the time I keep saying it, that for this team to thrive, we must have a program. I think they played a friendly or so, but the only good thing that I've seen so far is that Coach Salisu Yusuf has been able to keep the team together after their victory against Tanzania. Now listen, that was at the stadium in Ibadan. Now we're taking them to Abuja tomorrow. And that stadium hasn't been so good to Coach Salisu Yusuf, because we remember the CHAN exits, you know. And now, if he wants to truly bank on the foreign-based players that are just getting into the team, then it means he will touch, you know, his formation here and there, and we might struggle with some blend. But at this level, I'll say it again, at this level, and against Guinea, with boys who just want to announce themselves, the Olympic Eagles should do and can do enough to, you know, beat this team, and then in another 3 days, complete the work. And so we take this out of our minds, you know, but it's going to be a difficult game. There's just something about Guinea, and I see their approach. Even today, I was watching their training at the stadium in Abuja, and the approach they're giving it seems to be good. And at this level, nobody's respecting anyone. Has Coach Salisu Yusuf prepared this team enough? Maybe. Do we have quality players who are determined to give Nigeria this ticket that we missed out of the Tokyo Olympics for? Yes, but football definitely will give us the final say.
That's it. We just wait for that on Wednesday. The thing is, you know, he's home and away. So whatever happens in the first leg, you know, the second leg, you have to be better. So, Austin, I'll leave this to you, because reports coming out from England is saying that Antonio Conte, well, he's may not just have his job when he comes back from Italy after the international break.
I think they should leave him, but reports suggest that he will be fired after that unprofessional rant on Saturday. But the man is frustrated. Who wouldn't be? Let's start with what happened at the start of this month. It was Tottenham was knocked out of the FA Cup by a championship side, Sheffield United. They were sent packing from the UEFA Champions League by AC Milan. They were leading 3-1 with just 13. Cecilia, 13 minutes to go against bottom place Southampton, and it ended 3-3. The man cannot understand what's going on with him, and then he said players are selfish, and then some players are not willing to give the team what they should give the team. And I know where it's coming from. He's hurting, because Antonio Conte is very ambitious, and then it just seems like everything is falling on him. He's human. That's the mental health side of sports that we've been talking about. I don't know if I would react the way he did, but it will also get to me. It will get to me, because it's like, what's going on? What sort of month of March is this? Can he just come and go? And he's the happiest man in the world that this international break came, you know? So he goes clear his head, and he might just come back and say, look, whatever you want to do to me, you know, because right now, it's looking like he has even lost the dressing room, because I listened to Hodgbeck saying, look, you're going around the circles. Come out and call players that you think are not giving you the best. You're the man, you know? So it's tough, Cecilia. Reports coming from England suggest that he will be sacked, but we really don't know. Let the international break come and go, and then we will know what's going on with Antonio Conte and his job at Tottenham.
All right, in case you missed that particular rant, just take a listen again. I mean, what he had to say to the players, not just the players, also the club. because he wasn't really happy about the system being operated at Tottenham Hotspur.
We are 11 players that go into the pitch, and I see selfish players. I see players that don't want to help each other, don't put the heart. The most important thing, if you want to become a strong team, if you want to become competitive, you want to fight to win, is the desire, the fire that you need to have in your eyes, in your heart. And you have to show this in every moment, Instead, if I have to compare last season, in this season, I think that instead to improve, now we are worst under this aspect. And when you are not a team, and then everything can happen in every moment. Today is the last situation. We play for the badge. We have to play to make our fans proud of us. You have to play to show desire, the fire in your eyes to win. If you have this, for sure, you don't go out in FA Cup. The club has the responsibility for the transfer market. Every coach that stay here has the responsibility. And the players? The players? Where are the players? About my experience, I can tell you that if you want to be competitive, if you want to fight, you have to improve under this aspect. And now this aspect, for me, in this moment, is really, really low. I want to see the right spirit, okay? And not only in the training session, into the pitch. Because here you have to make the difference. And I'm not seeing this, and until now, I try to hide the situation. But now, there are 10 games to go, and something thinks that we can fight. We can fight for what? With this spirit, with this attitude, with this commitment. For what? For the 7th, 8th place, 9th place? I'm not used to this position. I'm really upset. And everybody has to take the responsibility, not only the club, not only the manager, the staff. The players to be involved in this situation. Because it's time to change the situation if Tottenham wants to change. If they want to continue in this way, they can change manager, a lot of manager, but the situation cannot change, believe me.
All right, they can be changing managers, but situation can never change if they remain this way. That's what is coming from Antonio Conte. And the report in England is that former midfielder Ryan Mason, currently first-team coach under Conte, might just be the person to be there in the end of the season if Conte is asked to go, because he did not just criticize the players, but also the management of the club. In 20 years, they haven't won anything. They are out of all the... No, they're not competing for any trophy at all. They're still 4th in the Premier League.
Yeah, everything he has said is true. Players, management, and all of that. But one of the things that is also not true is the fact that Conte did not call out himself. This is one thing Conte does everywhere when he's not going well. In Inter, we saw him do that, call out the management. This is not the first time he's calling out the Tottenham management. In Chelsea, but I'm even saying even Tottenham. This is not the first time. He had mentioned players, but go back to the summer transfer. I think one of the best businesses done by clubs, Tottenham did that. Kulusevski, the 2 players from Bentancur, Kulusevski, so many other players.
But when
look at the array.
Were the players, I mean, did he request for those players? That's the question, because sometimes you get in players.
I don't care.
That's the thing.
Cecilia, I don't care.
You should if you're a coach.
Okay, let me ask you. Look at the quality of the players at Tottenham. Is he making the utmost use of these players? At some point, you would ask, are you setting up a defensive team or an attacking? You've got array of stars when it comes to attack, but you watch Tottenham sometimes as boring as possible, always playing defensively because of your idea. Tottenham is not that team. It's painful to so many fans. It's painful to a coach like him. But also, Antonio Conte should always find time to call out himself. See, as a manager, one of the things you are saddled with is the fact that match day, you must make sure you do everything possible to bring out the optimum from all of your players. Then also, number two, you're a shock absorber. A coach should always find a way to give soft landing. Maybe in your confinement, you can call out anybody. But this rant in the media would always not balance your team. Now, Austin just mentioned, we all read it, we all heard it, Højbjerg, and I'm sure so many players who are not speaking out have it in their mind. Why should he call us out that way? And this is not what you do. And this is what Conte does every now and then. See, sometimes when you're known for something, even when you are right, people don't back you. Antonio Conte, from the moment he was signed, I knew he was coming with a baggage. But it did not take long before he opened up all of this baggage. And he's doing that again in the same season.
So he should be asked to go?
For me, if he's asked to go, I wouldn't be surprised. But if he's asked to stay, still I would not be surprised. He's a top coach. Sometimes you don't just want to sack a top coach. But if he's asked to leave, I would not be surprised. Because Daniel Levy don't take, issues like this very lightly. Antonio Conte should always take a back seat, look at his own side of the whole problem and criticize himself, not just every other person.
Okay. Let's move over to, before we talk about Zlatan Ibrahimovic at 41, I mean, he's really to give it all because he feels age is nothing. But Austin, just a quick one. Roy Hodgson, appointed manager of Crystal Palace to the end of the season after Patrick Vieira was fired. Did you see that coming, actually?
He said he didn't see it coming, Cecilia, and I'm also surprised. The man is 75.
Yeah.
75. And his last job was at Watford. He left that job in May last year, and Watford got relegated. He comes with a lot of experience. He loves Crystal Palace. They are 12th on the log, but just 3 points separates them and bottom place Southampton. Is it a man that, can keep them going? Yes, maybe because he knows the club. The players will be gingered to play for him now just so they will not, drop, out of Premier League football. But yes, the man said he didn't see it coming. He didn't know that they're going to pick him. I also didn't expect them to pick him. They would have just continued with Ray Lewington, the assistant coach. But he's here now. Let's see what he can do. All the best, Roy.
I think he wants to finish with Crystal Palace.
Yeah, we mentioned Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I mean, Austin Zlatan at 41. I mean, he's ready to help his team Sweden qualify for Euros 2024. I mean, he was injured for almost a knee injury. He said he has 3 surgeries. 3D surgeries before he was able to get back because he wanted to save his career. He scored at the weekend in Syria against Udinese. Of course, they lost that game. But then this man at 41 is still willing to work hard. He did not just, he's not just coming into the team because, he's Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He worked towards it to be there, selected.
Yeah, for everything he had, achieved, especially in the later part of his career, say from 35, he's actually been there by watching every call-up, whether it's club or national team level. You can remember if Sweden were have qualified for the World Cup, they were ready to call him back to add his own quota to whatever Sweden would achieve. So this time qualifiers, they need him, and that is why they are calling him. This man helped AC Milan to the trophy last season, and I'm sure those are things that they looked into and said, he might not give us so many minutes, but for the few minutes, he would give us something very quality.
Yeah, something very quality. Austin, you have to wrap this up for us because we have to go. What should we learn from Zlatan?
I mean, fitness, quality living. His longevity should be studied, Cecilia. At 41, when you watch Zlatan Ibrahimovic play, in fact, some of his teammates said that his training techniques, they struggle to do it. So I don't understand. And he's saying, look, for this qualifying game against Belgium and Azerbaijan, don't try to make it a Lukaku versus Ibrahimovic thing. I'm just coming to have fun at 41. Really admirable. We should learn how to live long through Zlatan Ibrahimovic. That's the show. In London, I'm Austin Okonakwan. In everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
Longevity, right? Thank you so much for coming on the program.
I've learned some things, and I'll still learn more from Zlatan. It's good to be here. It's good to be back.
Thank you so much for watching. I'm Cecilia Omogbe. Have a great night rest.